of sustainable development. The SDG Alliance supports and empowers businesses with a global platform for matchmaking, networking, business acceleration, and sustainable growth, while continually exploring opportunities for collaboration. The SDG Alliance focuses on knowledge sharing via digital talks, such as the one we are holding today, forums, expos, networking meetings, and awards to bring together experts and international businesses in SDG field from all over the world. It is in this background that we are organizing today's digital talk on business and the SDGs, what to expect, and how to lead. We would like to explore with our invited panel today, Chiara, with the business development and technical support at Is Clean Air Italia, and Severio Danubio, sustainable solutions expert, how businesses can strategically take part to draw numerous benefits for increased visibility, better informed investment, and greater impact from sustainable commitments for both society and business interests. If you're joining us right now, maybe I'll take you through some house rules. On the upper left of your screen, there is a public chat function that you can use to pose some questions to our panel here today, as well as interact with the audience. If you cannot see the presentation currently, on the bottom right of your screen, there is a hand icon and a screen icon. You can use the screen icon on the bottom right to restore and follow presentation today. Now, I would like to share with you a video of the SDG Alliance. Okay, that's out of the way. Let us introduce the EU Tech Chamber. And the EU Tech Chamber is a registered NGO with the mission and vision technology obliges, started in 2015 with the headquarters in Bavaria in Germany, where Celisa is seated today. The EU Tech Chamber is co-funded by the European Union, and our three goals are growth, sustainability, and competitiveness to support businesses use technology for the benefit of mankind. So the chamber is structured into different alliances. We have regional alliances, tech alliances, as well as impact alliances. Under the regional alliances, you'll find Latin America, China, and Africa, and one for German-speaking Europe. The tech alliances include IoT, mobility, energy through to food farming and fisheries. And under the impact alliances, finance, SDG, which is organizing this webinar today, the climate action, as well as the women in tech. So each alliance holds a webinar each month, and together with the EU Senate, we are at over 200 webinars per year with over 684 speakers. Also, the EU Tech Chamber holds 20 expos. These are hybrid events as well as virtual exhibitions around major European cities and events. We get 50,000 plus registrants to our events, 90% of the audience, company owners and decision makers, making the EU Tech Chamber #1 EU platform for technology exchange and business networking. Now, after the webinar comes the networking meeting, and here we'll give you exclusive access to the speakers and panelists, but these meetings are dedicated to exchange ideas on cooperations and projects, and give unique access to EU tenders as well as worldwide fundings. Each alliance discusses a tender unique to them, and so I'd encourage you to join one of the alliances, the SDG Alliance networking meeting. I will leave the link shortly in the public chat function to contribute and also to take part in the tenders as well as other worldwide fundings. Now, the EU Tech Chamber has a wider ecosystem than just events and networkings. We have insights, programs, as well as the Tech.Forum. Each alliance has its own white paper, position papers, and then newsletters will be sent out to you every week to orient on the upcoming EU Tech activities. There are EU tenders as introduced in the previous slide, but I also like to introduce the Visions for Europe magazine, which is our quarterly print magazine. Please do submit in your article how you're using science, innovation, and technology to transform society sustainably. The magazine reaches 10,000 decision makers directly, as well as 100,000 readers. And our programs, our tech team, gives a lot of social media support through marketing as well as promotion for your project, digital transformation support, aligning your project with ESG goals, climate action partnerships. At the end of this webinar, you will see me issuing out 3 certificates to our panel, and which is under the Climate Action Partnership and also awards. So as introduced in the previous slide, each alliance holds an award. The SDG Alliance is also holding 1 award. It will be held in Q1 of 2023. We will have 17 winners for each SDG category, and each winner will receive a marketing and promotional package valued at €10,000. So in the public chat function, my colleague Selisa has left the link to the SDG Alliance LinkedIn group. Please, I'd encourage you to use the link to join the SDG Alliance LinkedIn group to orient when the awards will be open to submitting your application. So our tech team will give you a virtual booth. You can move it to the virtual expo. You can also create and manage your own events. This is the Tech.Forum. And Selisa here had a great contribution towards making this slide here today. At the Tech.Forum, we are able to network, to connect, as well as grow. We can matchmake to 50,000 plus global tech executives, register to our upcoming virtual events, get your virtual rooms and booths, but also access past events, speaker database, and publication. And then to engage and benefit, please do reach out to our colleagues, Marcus and Federico. Their contact details are on the slide, but also they go with the same names on LinkedIn. And that is all from my side today. Now I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Selisa, for the panel introduction and the discussion. Over to you now, Selisa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Selisa Day. As Svetlana said, I am based in Bad Wiessee, Germany. It's beautiful out here. I'm one of the new coordinators for the EU Tech Chamber. I work with the SDG Alliance and the Climate Action Alliance. I want to introduce our panelists today. First of all, thank you both for coming. Really appreciate it, and we can't wait to hear you speak. The first up, we have Chiara Verderese. She is with Business and Development and Technical Support at IS Clean Air Italia. She's a master in interpreting and translation for international markets in the German and Russian languages. She supports companies in international projects, working with business development and technical operational support for the development of close-to-market technological solutions. And then we have Severio Danubio. He is the founder at Blue Wings Composting and a sustainable solutions expert. He's an industrial biotechnologist with over 10 years of experience in organic waste transformation using macro and microorganisms to produce biogoods such as feeds, fertilizers, and biofuels. He's an expert advisor with numerous participations in innovative projects developed for social, nonprofit, and profit sectors. So first off, we have Chiara, if you want to take the lead here.
Yeah, Hello, everybody, and was a very big pleasure for me to be here today and present how is Clean Air is doing and pursuing a kind of green business model. Also, because right now the trend about ESDG and also business model with a high social and environmental impact are now focusing the attention of all government and in particular company who want to achieve not only business thing but also to share value and share some great result in terms of fighting climate change and also achieving something important for people's health and for benefit of the environment. So ES Clean Air is an Italian SME who aim to clean the air we all breathe, creating healthier and safer places to live and work everywhere. Why? Because we use our APA technology. APA is the short name of air pollution abatement technology. Our technology is water-based. What does it mean? That it doesn't use filters at all, nor chemicals, just water. In fact, it's a nature-based solution, has a great efficacy in all kind of environment, both indoor and outdoor. In fact, we have in our portfolio different solutions, like a solution for industrial application, who has a lot of big emission, indoor environment for rooms, public and private offices, hospitals, universities, school. In fact, we also realized a pollution-free school here in Rome. And we did a lot of projects in the airport, train station of Tel Aviv. Our mindset is very international. In fact, we are deploying our devices in all countries of the world. And is very important because we are also certified as medical device, because APA is able to abate also ultrafine nanoparticles, which are several times smaller than viruses and bacteria, and that makes APA effective in reducing also the presence and the spread of SARS-CoV-2, but also other kind of viruses and bacteria like Legionella. So we are effective in all kind of pollutants, viruses and bacteria, and also against the CO2 in indoor environment. So another important thing is that our APA technology goes beyond air pollution. Why beyond air pollution? Because we act for three main benefits: reduce CO2 in the environment. And when the APA is coupled in the HVAC system, in the air conditioning system, we can also increase the energy efficiency in building, for the fact that APA is based on water. So filters, when become obstructed and dirty, they require a lot of energy, further energy. So for the fact that APA is water-based, can guarantee the performance over time and doesn't require a lot of energy consumption. So it has this kind of benefit, can reduce the energy consumption, at the same time monitor and clean the air from pollutants, and at the same time also detect and reduce risk of virus spread. So for this reason, we call the APA a triple win solution. We also are very efficient against CO2, and we can abate the CO2 in two different ways. From the energy usage, because we don't use a lot of energy, so we can save and we can guarantee a low emission of CO2 in the environment, up to 25% in comparison with filters or other solutions present in the market. And on the other way, directly from the air, up to 20% in comparison with other solutions. So for us, it's very important this. Why? Because right now the trends are going in the same way. In fact, as you can see from these statistics, the growth in severe climate events are, as you can see every day, are growing every day. So we in all kind of environment, in all kind of countries, there are this kind of severe event, and this is a very input, and we have to focus the attention on this aspect, because the climate change are very visible, and climate change are changing the way we are living. So we have to pay the attention on this aspect, and also to the severe climate events that are happening in all kinds of environment and countries in the world. So in fact, the investors and also the stakeholder in high tech are growing their attention in the ESG investing. So pursuing the environmental and social, the social goal and sustainable goal is something very important for company right now who want not only to pursue a very good business model, but also to be different in the market and to differentiate itself in the market. Because right now the investor and our stakeholder are focusing their attention not only on some business model who are working good, but also on business model who has who have a lot of social and environmental impact, high environmental impact. And in this moment, the business is focusing on this aspect. And so also the growth in climate risk regulation and disclosure are protecting the company who want to pursue this kind of business model. And this is very important for company who want to have a high growth in business, and also to be present in terms of circular economy, sustainability, high tech and deep tech, and so on. In fact, we have focused the attention on this aspect, and we are right now focusing our business model on some collaboration opportunity, like joint venture, public and private partnership, and also some project. But we are working mainly on joint venture and also on the intellectual property transfer. Why? Because we want to share our knowledges, we want to share our expertise on air pollution abatement, also to develop the consciousness and knowledges about air pollution, climate change, sustainability, and circular economy. And giving in the hands of the stakeholder our technology for us means something to share our knowledges about that, because we have 20 patents and also a great know-how acquired on field. And so for this is very important for us to share this expertise on field we acquired during these years. So in fact, our ambition is to become a global leader in the air cleaning and the air pollution sector. Also because we want to act at service of health, people's health and environment. Our dream is to provide to everyone safer and healthier places with a better air quality and also a better life for everybody. So in this moment, we are focusing our three main challenges: the industrialization, because we want to scale up quickly our solution in order to give in the hands of our stakeholder our solution, as I told you before, with intellectual property transfer model. Another challenge is on the detection, on the virus detection, because we can provide a low cost and real-time detection of biological risk, including viruses spread and infection risk, and could be a very effective solution against all kind of viruses and pandemia and risk of bacteria contamination from bacteria, etc. And we want also another challenge that is very important for our investor, which is the eco and light materials. We want to use more eco and light materials in order to make our devices even more sustainable, even more greener, even more without impact on environment, with low risk, with low emission of CO2 in the environment, and so on. And I think that this is very important and has to be important for our kind of company who want to have a high social and environmental impact. My recommendation to resolve market barriers, challenges, and gaps in terms of SDG and social and high environmental impact. First of all, the company has to measure and analyze greenhouse gas emission. Why? Because the first step for any company that wants to reduce its impact on the planet and the environment and therefore help to reduce climate change is to measure its greenhouse gas emissions. For this, and there are many private agencies that are carbon footprint certified and can help also company to measure their CO2 emissions in the environment and also to pursue SDG principles and greener principle. Also, reducing energy consumption is another important aspect because turning off the lights in the office in the evening, lower the heating of the air conditioning or taking the devices off the plugs when it's not needed are some good action companies that can implement. Moreover, by paying more attention to other daily routine actions, business can slightly reduce their energy consumption and thus their impact on the climate. So also reduce waste and fight obsolescence. Another way to reduce the climate footprint of a business and reduce the amount of waste generated. The industrial waste of a large company or the paper waste of an SME is another important aspect that we can allow in order to allow to produce a lot of waste. So also choose greener infrastructures and equipment is very important because it is also possible to choose more environmental friendly infrastructure and equipment. In this way, companies can set up a fleet of hybrid or even electric vehicles to renovate their employees' cars according to the latest environmental standards. Or when the time comes to buy new printers, air conditioners, laptops, screen, bulbs, or office material, if the old ones can be fixed or more are needed, choose the most efficient and sustainable ones. So also choose sustainable supplier is very important, and from my experience is very, very important because our business model is also focusing on choose sustainable supplier who have to share our vision to be greener in the environment. And each company has a responsibility regarding the partners it chooses. Choosing a supplier is also an environmental friendly choice. Companies should make the effort to choose suppliers who demonstrate they have a good environmental practice. This is another way to reduce the impact on environment. Also raise awareness among employees, clients, and other stakeholders is very important because as an economic agent, companies also play a role in raising awareness, and this is what we are trying to do. So raise awareness on their employees, consumers, media, and other stakeholders. Organize also in-house contests or campaigns to raise and improve awareness on sustainability issues is a great idea in any case. And we are trying also to focus our effort on raising awareness, trying to do a lot of social campaign, post on social media, share messages on how SDG principles are very important, how become greener is important, and so on. Promote also environmentally friendly ways of working. Why? Because some ways of working are more ecological than others, for sure. For example, has many ecological advantages also for the company itself. One can also consider video conferences that avoid employees traveling by car for meetings with clients. Paperworks also have a strong environmental impact, for example, as computer work and the internet because of servers. Sometimes avoid to copy a lot of copies, and it is a great process to avoid the CO2 emissions in the environment. Also mobilize for the climate change challenge. Is very important, as I told you before, also with social campaign and so on. The role of companies is also political, and we have to focus the attention on this aspect. Is not like doing business, but is also political in their territory at the regional and national level. Companies that want to fight climate change must be militant by pushing politicians and public actors to act on global warming. They can have also a huge influence in that sense. If companies are active, this can lead to new environmental regulations that can have a significant impact on global warming. And companies in this sense has a big responsibility, because they have to be pushing and also active to push the governments to have regulation about social and environmental impact, and fight also the big emissions we have. Thanks for the attention, and I hope that I share in the best way I could my experience on field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chiara. For everyone who's listening still, if you can see her presentation, good. If not, there's a presentation icon in the bottom right of your screen, just to make everyone can follow along properly. If you have any questions for Chiara, please post them in the public chat, and we will get to them at the Q&A session afterwards. And then we would love to introduce Severio. Please take the floor.
Okay, can you hear me right? All right, thank you so much for inviting me today. It's a great honor to be part of this chamber, and today to speak a little bit about how we can get closer to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. As introduced before, I work on the development, on the analysis of businesses that wants to migrate to sustainable solutions. And I think there is no better vehicle than operating in a sustainable way in order to respect the sustainable goals. Today, among the several solutions that entrepreneurs or authorities or whoever is the subject listening can take in consideration in order to become more sustainable, in order to secure the future also for the coming generations, I want to make a little bit more technical presentation on some bio-innovations that maybe are not familiar to everybody, but my hope is that I can enlighten the people in the audience on what is the current problems and what could be the future solutions, or the solutions that everybody wants to adopt today in his own business. Okay, Blue Wings Composting is a startup based with the aim of promoting insect-based solutions for urban and rural areas. This happy cow is inviting everybody to eat more bugs, to eat more, possibly to eat not hair. And this is not like a fancy logo for vegan friendly or other kind of animal supporters, but behind this image, we can say there is a lot. There is a lot, because it's not only protecting the animals, but maybe switching to a different diet or to a different lifestyle can be a solution under many aspects. With these slides, I want to show you the land occupied in the normal and, let's say, modern farming of some species for the same amount of protein. So you can see on the right side, for the same amount of proteins coming from insects, this is the piece of land occupied, and on the left side, this is the amount of land occupied by the, let's say, the most favorite meat, those coming from the cows. But this is also this is not only the ratio between the land occupied. In somehow, you can consider these differences also in terms of water consumption, also in terms of feed consumptions, also in terms of emissions associated to the farming of these animals. And as you can see, the difference is quite big. So how do we feed our animals? Maybe people don't know, but we feed animals mainly with the cereals and then a protein source. The protein source is known to be, in the majority of the cases, the soy. Soy is rich in protein, and soy is farmed almost all around the world. You can see from intense green to light green production, all spread around the globe. But if you want to count just those that are heavy producer, so those in the very dark green and quite intense green, those that produce between 100 and 150 tons, millions tons per year, you reduce the option to just few countries. What do we do with the soy? People may think, well, we eat soy, but let me show you, the soy we consume is just this bottom line. This is the soy we dedicate to the feed industry, to the processing of the soy for the production of flours and other protein-rich material for the animal feeding. So we can, these data are not really recent, but we can say that above 90% of the soy worldwide cultivated is, so let's say 90% of an important food source worldwide is going to become not our food, but the food for what is, in most of the cases, our food. So this is the first, let's say, mismatch in the supply chain. And then transportation. The cost of containers all around the world, it's increasing. The last data, the data of the last months of the year are actually giving a little bit better results, but we don't know how much will cost a container for a shipment tomorrow. The prices are really fluctuating, and it's easy for them to go up and up. So the overall scenario for the future is that the lands will be less fertile, the production will be decreased, the population will increase, and this will result in an increase of the demand and in a decrease of the offer. And primary goods like the rice, the corn, will in some cases increase the price in an enormous way. So there will be a food crisis if we don't take action. And this is a projection of what can be in the next decades. So the intensive, the red part, and the higher will be the climate change effect on this territory. And the bigger are the figures on the map, and the higher will be the food insecurity. So as you can see, some of the biggest producers of soy are actually also those that in the near future will cope these kind of issues. And what is the result? The result is simply that we produce the feed for our food all around the world, apparently, but now all the countries are going in a secure country policy. They are protecting themselves. And the result is that today, the only exporters, the only real exporters around the world are just the South American countries. So all the animals around the world are most likely fed by just the export sources from one or few countries. This is something that in the business creates advantages. It creates a positioning where the provider can fix the cost. And actually the cost in the last decade has more than doubled. So what is the solution? The solution apparently is just behind the corner. The solution is using biotechnology, using bioprocesses for converting what are the organic resources available here, locally, everywhere, in any condition. So we talk from like using the residues of animal farming for like food production, for hobby, to processing the residues of the food production, the processing of the food or the leftover of the food coming from the industry, coming from the HoReCa sector. And also from the markets, because every day when you go to the market, there is a leftover generated, and all around the world it counts as hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of tons every day per country. So you can imagine the volume of organic waste, but it's full of good nutrients that we generate. And if you look in these pictures alone, you can intercept a lot of little businesses, medium businesses, because this embrace many sectors. So at the Blue Wings Composting, we provide the distribution of sustainable solutions, the advisory on plans and projects, and the research and development on novel bio innovations. As the production line analysis, because sometimes the business is not well projected and it's easy to make it more sustainable just correcting some steps in the production line, and also company services. This is an insect. This is an insect. You may like it, you may not like it, but this is a very efficient insect. I personally like it. Look at how fancy these blue wings under the sun rays become. So why I like this insect? Because this insect eats a lot. It's a very voracious insect with the short life cycle. So this means using these insects, you can reduce in less than 24 hours your waste problem. So feed your waste to these insects and you won't have problem of bad odors generation. You won't have a problem of accumulation. You won't have a problem of pathogens incubation. Bacteria don't have a time to pollute, to generate CO2, because this larvae eats much faster than them. So I won a project at the Green European Capital. I was granted together to Smart Lean, my partner, and then also with the Luque Research Institute, I was capable to use these larvae, are the same you have seen in the other picture, and to project an insect composter placed inside the schoolroom managed by teacher, and with the YouTube streaming, people could see what was happening during those 2 weeks. Actually, the children were taking the food from the canteen, the waste food from the canteen, and little by little, day by day, these larvae were growing and enjoying the food served. And I can guarantee you, we were in Finland, we were in a classroom. The project was managed by children, well, let's say little boys. And so it was easy, it was effective, and at the end of the day, as you have seen, ducks enjoy the larvae. Fishes of the lake enjoy the larvae. The residue, this black part that has been well separated, it's a fertilizer. So you can imagine how happy these children were and how valuable was for them this experience. Actually, the project also competed at the national level for the STEM projects, and it was finalist. And then this March competed at the European level, and it was fourth, if I'm not mistaken, in the European competitions. So we can rely on these solutions, and these solutions can make a young entrepreneur in the position to create a little business, because we can produce a fertilizer, we can produce a protein feed. Well, the numbers are not exactly correct, but take it as it is. From the waste, you can generate a good and you can have a revenue, not so much, but this is the idea I want to share with you and with all the little and medium entrepreneurs that are in the audience. And do we produce only that? No, we can do a lot more using insects. Actually, there are studies that prove that some insects can recognize the infected cells in the bones, and they can prevent the propagation of infections. Insects are used on the missions on Mars as a system that can be integrated in the operation on other planets. Insects can be used for the extraction of enzymes and other biomolecules useful in the modern processing. And then we can produce a chitosan, which is a biomaterial that can be used from cosmetics to bioplastics. And then we can even extract molecules that in the future can mimic organic semiconductors. So finally, we don't have to mine, we don't have to feed this unfair system sometimes that makes navigate goods from one continent to another, and has always raising in our eyes what actually is behind this business. So I thank this startup for the realization of this slide. And we can produce biodiesel efficiently. This is a sequence of publications that confirm that this is possible. We can produce biodiesel. We can incorporate the use of the larvae with anaerobic digestion, so we can produce fertilizer, we can produce proteins, and we can produce biogas, because in, let's say, half part of the world, we still have to have access to the energy, to the fire, to the heating system. So we can produce biogas that is much more sustainable than using fossil fuels. And then, yes, this is a good fertilizer. And yes, this is a good feed for the poultry feeding. The meat comes out of a good quality. And you feed the larvae with the fatty acids protein source like the fish waste, and you incorporate that in the larvae. And this brand is not, let's say, negligible. This is a brand created by Carrefour, one of the biggest supermarket chain, that decided one day to create a dedicated fish products line, and fish only feeded with insects. So insects makes the meat of a better consistency, of a better color, so no colorant. Insects make fish healthier, so no antibiotics. And insects make fish more healthy, because I can tell you, I'm not a fisherman, but I guess that fish usually catch insects, not the soil. So this is what they always have been eating, and this is what it's healthy for them. And everything comes from what we have just behind the corner. We don't have to supply from the other world side with all the related problems. These insects alone, the insects I presented to you today, it's worth by 2030 beyond 2.5 billions alone, because it has applications in the agriculture, in the pet food, in the pharmaceutical, in the cosmetic, and more and more. So with the support of partners, of open-minded investors, governmental and private subjects, we can create a lot of businesses oriented on these solutions, a biorefinery that can actually generate a lot of different biogoods, and in this way increase the revenue without stressing too much the environment, creating local occupation. And this is the last reminder for everybody. Innovation costs money. I cost money to my customer, but the same costs also failing. So before failing, as a little bit happened for the watch when the smartphone were invented, please switch to sustainable solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Thank you both for two very different industries today. If anyone has any questions, please post them in the public chat now, and we will get to question and answer. For Chiara, I did have a first question. What was the reason why Is Clean Air decided to adopt the SDG criteria in their APA project? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we decided to do that because our vision is also to provide a better life for people, and also to have a great and high social and environmental impact. So our mindset is not like working every day to achieving results, but also to share our knowledge about sustainable solutions, sustainable technology, and also to push also other companies to do the same thing. Because as I told you before, push to have this kind of solution right now is very important to fight climate change and to have a better world. So in this sense, we decided to pursue the SDG principles, also because our goal is also to have high social impact and environmental friendly approach.
You guys, can you hear me now? Thank you for that. One of the other questions I had was, what are some of the most important elements for effective implementations of the SDG in businesses? I think that'd be a good question for people to hear here.
Yeah, what are the factors? The factors are that if you want to become greener, and if you want to have a solution who can make the difference in the market and differentiate yourself in the market, you choose for the sustainable approach. The factor says that you have to move on and looking forward to the future. So the future is right now focusing the attention on SDG principles, circular economy, sustainability, and also investors and stakeholders are trying to pursue this kind of futures, to invest and to do project or some commercial collaboration itself. So they are focusing the attention on these aspects, and factors that have to move a company to pursue the SDG principles is the fact that they want to do business, but they also want to be different in the market. I think that this is one of the most important factor right now.
Thank you. While we're still talking about those SDG goals, I would like to invite everyone to our SDG Alliance networking meeting, so you guys can get like a more in-depth talk with our presenters and participants. There was a question for you, Chiara, from Tatiana, while you were talking earlier about detecting viruses as biorisks. She asked if it was also able to detect invasive species and climate zone drift.
Oh, yes, for the fact that our technology is based on water. The water makes no difference between pollutants and another, so it traps all kind of presence in the air. So we haven't done tests, specifically tests about that. We did some tests about VOC, NOx, particular matter, PM2, PM10. And during the pandemic, we focused our attention on TRAP COVID-19 in collaboration with some university, because we can sample our water, take the water from our device and put the water in a lab test. And this lab test can verify if within the water there are some presence of different, I don't know, bacteria, viruses, specifically pollutants, and we didn't test about that. But for sure, if a customer or a users ask us to do test in this sense, we can for sure we can do that. Lisa, we can't hear you anymore.
Thank you. We had another audience question that is directed at either of you, whoever wants to take the lead here. What has been the most important support systems resources you used in your path towards sustainability? And do you think the current available resources are enough for new businesses to adopt the SDGs? If not, what would be needed? Severio, do you want to take the lead on this, since we need to give you a chance to talk again?
Yeah. If Chiara doesn't want to add something right now,
I let you answer.
yeah, I mean, let's say that for different reasons, we have different continental scenarios. For example, in the Western world, especially in Europe, we have a lot of restrictions policy that actually are interfering a little bit with the realization of projects that actually could create value out of the waste. So I guess it takes a little bit of time, but things are changing, and little by little, everywhere there is an opening toward solutions that actually are sustainable, solutions that consider the sustainable development goals as the base for the development of the business. We are not yet absolutely there in all the sectors, all like the countries, but things are moving quite fast, especially in the last 2-3 years. So I'm quite optimistic that in another couple of years, wherever a young entrepreneur is based, he will have support and he could find the right tools for developing a sustainable business without difficulties, and maybe even with more incentives.
Thank you for that. Chiara, did you have anything you wanted to add, or should we move on to another question?
I totally agree with the Severio. So if I can add something, one tool could be also, as I told before during my presentation, mindset of employees is another tool. Yeah, you can say me, why is a tool the mindset of employees? Yeah, because if you pursue a sustainable model, inside the company, is a tool to achieve the sustainability inside the company, and also to make your business greener is one of the most important future inside the company, starting from employees, and also the boss for sure. So the shift has to be some of the I don't know, the follower of this kind of trends, and this is an important tool to achieve sustainability inside company.
It makes sense. If you have sort of that mindset for everyone, everyone's working towards sustainability, it's going to be a lot more effective, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we can sneak in maybe one or two more questions before we get to the tree certificates. So I'd like to ask Severio how the SDGs, they sometimes overlap and relate. And can you give us a little more on how SDG 13, life below water, and SDG 14, life on land, can sometimes relate to the same issue? Severio, we can't hear you yet. You're still on mute.
Oh, sorry. I talk so much that I have to mute myself sometimes. Yeah, I wanted to say that the question is fair. I would enlarge everything to the Sustainable Development Goals 13, 14, and 15, because we have to preserve the climate action. We have to guarantee climate action, and we have to preserve the life below water and the life on land. It's incredible how the land ecosystem is related to the water ecosystem, because if you don't pollute the land, then you don't have polluted water that alterates, changes all the marine ecosystem. And if you don't throw plastic somewhere on the land, then you don't find islands of plastic in the ocean. And some forecasts are a little bit dramatic. I don't know if it's true, but if we continue in this way, maybe one day we will count more pieces of plastic in the ocean than the fishes. So this is for several reasons. This is because we liked a polymer so much, but we didn't think that plastic, that is a great invention. Actually, we have also some credits on the plastic invention as Italians. I don't know if it's a proud or something else, but we forgot that plastic is something that goes over and over by the years. It can last more than 100 years. So we should never ever thought that we could make mono-use products with the plastic, something that you use for 5 seconds and can last 50 years, 500 years, I don't know. But it's incredible how the plastic can be resistant. And so we have to use less plastic. We have to go in a logic that it's not linear, from the raw material production, going through the processes necessary for the good of interest, and then to the waste treatment, which I would like to say entrepreneurs always invest the least in the waste treatments, and this results in the quickest solution, but not the most efficient, not the one that contains the pollution, not the one that actually guarantees a protection of the environment. So my suggestion is to pollute less on the land side, but also to stop overfishing, something that people don't know. When these big corporates go and fish in the open ocean, they gather any kind of fish species, and then they select the one that have a commercial value and the one that don't have a commercial value. So they throw them away, or they just generate automatically a new waste out of a good food source, just because it's not the fish fillet that everybody is thinking about. So let's change this way of producing the food. Let's migrate to the fish farming or to the integrated fish and the agricultural systems like aquaponic, and let's make what is the residue of the farming, the feed for the plants that are in need of nitrogen. For example, today there is a world shortage of nitrogen, which is one of the most important macro elements for the fertilizer production, but it comes from Russia, and we all know what is the situation right now. So we can independently produce the fertilizer and the feed we need, but the feed should not come from soy. We know what means soy, and I didn't tell that soy today is the #1 enemy of the Amazonian forest, because the production in Brazil is getting larger and larger, and new virgin land has been occupied for this monocrop. But what means monocrop? Monocrop, it means hectares and hectares of the same plant cultivated. This is in order to reduce the cost of the growing and of the of harvesting and then of processing. But this also means that if the biodiversity doesn't like that plant, there is the complete destruction in the soil and on the plant and also in the air, because it's the diversity that makes an ecosystem stronger. I mean, when there is monocrops, there is the reduction of the biodiversity and there is the increase of diseases. People maybe don't know, but the banana that in the Western world we all eat, and it's the same species all around the world, is going to be disappeared because banana plantation have been sick with a disease that is erasing all the banana plantation. So no monocrops. Let's diversify and let's use organic matter locally produced. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're going to have to change that slide to eat more bugs and save the Amazon rainforest. I think people will like that. We're running out of time here, so I'm going to hand it over to Svetlana to present you guys your tree certificates, and then we'll get out of here.
Well, leafless, stop overfishing. And then we have also learned from Kiara, who is cleaning the air that we breathe. Could it be more important at a pandemic time like this? I would like to thank you also very much for your insightful contribution. And for this, as I mentioned earlier during the EU Tech intro, under the Climate Action Partnership, we are going to plant a tree for you in Africa in appreciation to being panel with us. But first, a tree certificate for Kiara has been planted in Africa by the UTech Climate Action Partnership, and I will also send this tree certificate shortly after the meeting, and then also one for Severio. Thank you so much to our panel and also to our audience for making these talks very lively. On the public chat, my colleague Selisa has left a link to the next networking meeting of the SDG